Welcome to Business Mentorship Keeping It Real, where we introduce corporate leaders who have taken the leap to business owner and participate with their great idea in our guest blog found on shareyourstories.online. Our guest joins us from New York, New York. Jaqueline Oliveira-Cella is a leader in health, wealth, and well-being, specializing in client-centric solutions, who has recently completed a year-long executive program at Harvard Medical School. Let us find out how this consultant is creating a culture of health in the corporate sector with a focus on purpose, intentions, and action. It is my pleasure to introduce and welcome Jaqueline.
Thank you, Trish. What a lovely introduction.
You've done all the work, my friend, as they say, right? Now, I know our viewing and listening audience is going to be super interested in hearing about your year-long journey at Harvard Medical School. So I know it was an executive education program, so tell us a little about it.
Oh, thanks for asking, and I love being here. Thank you for having this platform to help women and men who are entrepreneurs. So when let's do a quick recap of summer, because I think so many magical things happened. Yes, of course, we do our homework, right? That's why we are where we are. Within lots of memorable moments, I think it's worth sharing with this audience. Number one is I was able to wrap up a year-long, so I went back to school, and I was able to wrap up a year-long executive program at Harvard Medical School called Global Healthcare Leaders Program. I was very happy to be invited to join, right, this program. It was an investment, but it was a well worth investment. Wrapping up, my capstone was developing what care coordination could look like for women planning to have a child and at risk for gestational diabetes, for developing gestational diabetes. So how that interaction with professionals, healthcare professionals, could look like if it's empowered by technology and uniting mind and body, right? Moving from like the ideal world of when I move from treating people from body parts into an integrated system. So that's like ask away. The second was in August. I had the unique opportunity to join one of my mentors into another year of tracking for kids. We went to Africa, Mozambique, to the African continent. We went to Nampula. It's a rural area in Mozambique, and had we gained the beautiful gift of getting to know a mission that helps about 50 girls at risk, like from 5 years old to 19 years old, to give them shelter, food, love, a home, so they can grow. And at the same time, this mission we visit helps 144 different villages, like small villages within that rural community. And it's a very humbling experience. Things like you learn how to put your emotions in check and see how that can actually help you to accomplish more things. And I can dive into it with an example. I kept, like, every time there was an obstacle, like it was hard to get into that place. It's magical when you get there, but it was really hard. And every obstacle, you feel yourself getting at some point like frustrated. We are used with the New York, let's go, get things done. And you need to reframe your concept. So kind of having your emotions in check and being able to actually act in a way that you are also interested in what's happening with the person in front of you. That
Sure.
was kind of a reminder. The second one that I would love to share with this audience is you have the opportunity to see what it actually looks like when opportunities are given for people that may not have water to drink, water to bathe, right? Food to eat. And what happens when those individuals are put, or that they are expected to have 9+ kids to be considered someone of value within their society. So with a beautiful smile on their face, they are so grateful for that shelter and how they have moved from what I saw in the villages, right, on the different communities, which are beautiful communities, but a very different reality from what we
Mhm.
we
Experience.
have here, we
Yeah.
experience. And you see what happens when opportunities are given and the multi-generational wealth impact that can be brought to all of us. So that expand that to the workplaces we are in. You can see what, not just the diversity numbers, but what happens when you truly include someone and close the skill gaps and really invest into someone, and you see the results of that impacting not just that generation, but generations to come. So I think those are the, like, summary recap. Those are the two big moments. I was very proud to finish this program with Harvard, and second, the amazing trip with Tracking for Kids in Mozambique.
Wow, I mean, that's quite a recap for summer. Geez Louise, for those of us who have been sort of sitting around reading books and doing the gardening, you're making us all feel like we haven't accomplished much. But I want to say that, as an individual, this has got to have an impact on you as a corporate executive or as an executive in your own business, because I'm sure that you learned some skills about yourself that you can now bring back to your core
Yeah.
group of clients. So share with us one of the skills or the most impactful thing that you feel as a person, as an individual, experiencing what you have over the last few months. What skill do
Beautiful.
you think you'll be able to bring to your corporate clients?
So let's talk about the soft skill and something that's a little more practical on the, like, both are practical, but something that's more business oriented.
Sure.
So first, I think it's like having your emotions in check
Mhm.
and how you interact with others. Again, putting the mindset of how I can help that person with their mission, with what they are trying to accomplish, being curious. So number one, curiosity and intention. Like, that's like the package.
Sure.
Curiosity, intention, emotions in check. Uh, the in like by in check means awareness, being aware of your emotions. I'm not saying curtail your emotions. I'm saying
Sure.
being aware.
Sure.
The second one, I think when I for new business owners or for someone who is going into launching a new business line within a corporation, or someone who is launching a startup. My first one big point that I took away from the Harvard program, like from this executive program, is don't start with the solution, right? Don't jump into, oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z. This is what I'm trying to offer. Take a step back to really go down into what are the problems I'm trying to solve. Who is going to, and it's kind of a simple concept that we say over and over, but sometimes people get so excited about a topic that they are passionate about that they forget to really build, like, well, be curious about design thinking methodologies, so you can start narrowing down what's the problem you're trying to solve, who is going to be impacted by that problem? Why should they care, right? What is the relevance? Because it needs to be addressing a problem that's, you need to be doing something different than others to really be able to survive, because there are so many new, like the new generation is fantastic of kind of launching themselves into the workforce and creating those more flexible jobs, like not jobs, work, right? You have, you no longer have one job, you have several piece of work, but we can talk about that. So being curious about what is the problem you're trying to solve, start there, and that can go a long way, because then you have a whole method. I have one of my newsletters called Health at Work and People. In one of their editions, I actually go through the methods. I think it was when I explored burnout in the healthcare system, to take a step back and take a macro view. And I actually provided what the step-by-step could look like. That method could be applied to any other new business owner. But again, start with what is the problem I'm trying to solve.
That's such really great advice, because you're absolutely right. As entrepreneurs, sometimes we get so excited about our great idea that we don't step back and do a little analysis. I know in the days when I was doing business consulting and coaching, and we used to talk about business plans, and I know you'll appreciate this, because the entire boardroom table would be rolling their eyes like, oh my God, really, a business plan? But a business plan's the brain dump for your business, right? It's where you throw all of the great ideas, and then you can kind of decipher, where do the pieces of the puzzle fit? And I love your concept about what is the problem that you're trying to solve? Because if we're not trying to solve a problem to a target market, we don't have a business. We just have a great idea.
That's it.
Right?
That's it. It's how you move the concept into something that can be truly actionable.
Right.
So that's like, I could go longer, but that's like my two takeaways. One on your mental fitness side of the house, and the second one on a more practical, right? And how to get your business viable, starting somewhere, right?
So here's a really interesting question, because the viability of the business, you've given us a really great tool. Let's step back, do a little, strategic planning, and come up with what solution are we providing to the problem that we hope to solve. The other side of the coin that I think is even more interesting is, how do we manage our emotional and mental health? Because there's certainly been a lot of talk about this in the last few years, because it's not something that we're actually taught, right? We don't actually learn these things in school. It's not something that we try to stay away from it, because it's that personal gooey stuff that we really don't want to get involved with, especially if we're a mentor. You're a little afraid to talk about those kinds of personal situations. So if you were a new entrepreneur listening to us talk today, and you're resonating with the idea about mental health and our emotional fitness, is there one thing that you can suggest? I'm coming unglued. I'm getting all excited. I have fear. I don't know what to do. Is there something that you can give me, a tool that I can sort of say, okay, I remember Jaqueline mentioned this, and I'm going to give it a try? What would that be?
Okay. Allow me to start with
a sip of your coffee.
A pause.
I love it. See, we try to fill the space, right? Isn't that the truth?
Pause. If you see that you are getting worked up, find a way to pause, even if it's like as simple as holding a cup of coffee, or holding, like, I use this with, like, I received a very a similar question previously, so it's my first way of, like, okay, let me drink something, let me pause.
That's brilliant. Because just those 2 seconds give you a chance to take a step back.
Yes, to give a few seconds for reframing. right? And I think it's a habit, other than the sip of water, a sip of coffee. Well, it forces you to be quiet for a second, and for a Brazilian, it's something important. So yes, it enables you. It's a simple thing that enables you to pause. But the other is create a journal, or be aware of your emotions. You can feel your body changing depending on the situation. And the best thing, you want to sound, right? Particularly, it's like being a female and a business, and a leader, a business woman and a leader. Sometimes the spotlight is on you, right? Uh, even more than other genders. So just pause. So whatever you were trying to say comes out in a way that really is going to engage the audience across from you. They will pause to listen to you, right? They will be interested in what you're trying to share. So I think that's, and then rehearse, right? I know it's hard to rehearse for every single question that may come on your way, but don't be afraid. Sometimes when things are a little harder, I do that all the time. You procrastinate, not because you are being lazy, but maybe because you're afraid, or it's like, use your anxiety. About Maura Aarons talks about this very nicely, but use your anxiety. If it's not making you get stuck somewhere, use that as your power to act.
I love that.
Convert that, reframe that. So it's like, other than the sip, it's like the really finding a way to center yourself, and then do the homework aside, do your rehearse, talk with a mentor, with someone who may have lived through a similar experience, and you could give you just this sparkle, just the beginning of like a thought-provoking comment to make you rethink what you are doing, or and uplift you. Right?
Absolutely. Now, you've mentioned this word more than once in our conversation already, and that is having a mentor. And taking that opportunity to make a connection with someone on a different level, because that helps personally and it helps professionally. So give our viewing and listening audience your thoughts on mentorship. Is it something that you feel is important to you in your personal development and growth? And how do you find a mentor? Do they just appear? Give us your thoughts on mentorship.
I love that question. Mentee, mentorship, I think both are relevant. Yes, absolutely. I think having mentors is extremely relevant. I seek people that will not sugarcoat. I seek people that have perhaps the similar background, but apply that background in a different way, or people who has complementary. And we are going to talk about, I suggest I should talk about diversity of thought in a second, but people who has lived different experiences, but whose mission aligns with yours. Right? So, and how to find it? Usually, mine was through my work experiences, through my academic experiences. And after you are able to develop some sort of trust with that person, and you see that there is an alignment, I think it's very honest to ask them for help and say, hey, would you have time? I have done that several times, and I think there is a beautiful exchange between the two parts. It's not just about what they can give me. I think it also over time, particularly as you build experience, it's a two-way
Sure.
street.
Symbiotic, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
And I would go one step further. You asked me the how, right? Sometimes you may not have that person. So but hopefully you have friends or like
A network of people.
a network of people that you can
Mhm,
put out there. This
mhm,
is what I'm trying, like this is the problem I'm trying to solve.
mhm.
Anyone that you know could help me just
Right.
to get me started, right?
It's putting up our hand, right? We never put up our hand. As women and entrepreneurs, I think we feel we have this feeling that we have to do it all ourselves. And we forget that there is help available. You just have to ask.
Yeah, and you need to be mindful. Like this on my last year journey, you also, like as a female, your intellectual capital is extremely important and relevant. And I have been studying my whole life. Like I don't remember a time where I was not trying to learn something new.
Sure,
So that is of value.
for
And why I
sure.
mention that, I think it's just yes, it's fantastic to be able to give a few minutes of your time, a few hours of your time to help someone else. But be aware that sometimes that intellectual capital, like after that, it needs to be treated, unless it's your friend and you want to do as a volunteering exercise,
Sure.
it needs to be treated as um, a sustainable business, like as something like I'm giving you knowledge, particularly if you're talking about a commercial, someone who is launching um, a new business. There is a
Sure.
value to what you're advising, so make that formal. Women sometimes not generalizing, but we tend to be a little more givers, and
Sure.
there are a lot of takers that are only takers.
That's so true. And one of the things that you mentioned, before we wrap up our conversation and talk about your 3 words of advice, one of the things that you mentioned was building a diverse team, because diversity is something that is a real topic of conversation at the moment. So, if you were to provide some advice to our viewing and listening audience about the benefit of building a diverse team, what would that be?
So let's explain what I'm referring to. When I say diversity, I'm talking about specifically talking about diversity of thought. So over the just as this experience, right? This global healthcare leaders experience was very recent. I can pick up from there. I'm not a physician. I'm an actuary by background with like a lot of experience in consulting and insurance, health, wealth, and well-being, focus on workforce. If I'm to build a bit like the business that I was envisioning, right, focusing on care coordination for gestational diabetes, I have one piece of the equation to offer. But by having someone who is an endocrinologist who became actually like an amazing friend, then I have someone from finance, someone with the technology piece, someone who has lived through like gestational diabetes. You add all those diverse thoughts to the table with diverse backgrounds. We are talking about a multicultural team.
Sure.
The outcome of that, it's so much more rich. You want to be around people that can challenge you, that are aligned in mission, but also that can challenge you and add to your bucket, right?
For sure.
Still focus, but it's building something of value. So when I talk about diversity, move away from the numbers, I should not say that. The numbers are beautiful. Track the numbers. But as you are in a real project, working as a team, ensure that you are surrounding with people that not just align in terms of mindset, growth mindset, and openness because that openness to help each other with a common goal. But also look for people that are not that's knows more than you do and knows different things and have lived through different experience, because they will be representing not only the business you are trying to launch, but also the clients that you may encounter. Right.
So
So
true.
that's my experience, my lived experience working with global teams, and on this latest academic / business experience, academic experience. It's like one of I saw magic
Yes, that's so
happening
true.
when we are out
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, that's so true. Now, I know that you and I can continue to talk for hours and hours because your topic is not only relevant today to a lot of people, but I also think that your experience and your point of view is something that I know that a lot of our viewers and listening viewers and watching viewers will be able to connect with. But in order to sort of wrap up our conversation today, one of the things that we do is we ask folks to share 3 words of advice in our guest blog. Now, I think that you've already talked about yours is be intentional and uplift others. And I think you've given us a really good indication into the background of how to be intentional. But perhaps you'd like to give us a little bit of insight and wrap up our conversation by how do we uplift others?
Oh, I love that. Right now, we are having a conversation, and the way I embraced this conversation was I did some homework to understand what was relevant to your audience and what was relevant to your mission. So I could find the synergies to actually be not just, I didn't, to be helping, uplift what you were doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? As opposed to coming, like when people are trying to build bridges and connections, to really create meaningful connections and over time develop trust, it needs to be a two-way street. And I believe there is a power in making your intention. If you are, again, if it's a new connection or if you're managing someone on your team, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's really being curious about what can be removed in terms if there is a roadblock, right?
Right.
What can be removed so that person can be uplifted. If again, the beautiful alignment between your purpose, your mission, your values, and your actions. And as you grow, keep that in check, right? Keep that in
Keep
check.
the humility, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
intellectual humility, and again, the intention to uplift others. I think that's what's missing in a lot of what I see nowadays when I think about leadership and etc.
Well,
And okay, I
I,
was going to call us out to wrap us up with an invite, but
okay.
go ahead, Trish.
Go ahead. What's your invite?
So the invite is if you have any questions, right, reach out to Trish first and foremost, add your questions. If you are interested in learning more about some of the work I've been doing with amazing industry leaders and healthcare experts, and I have been publishing that on LinkedIn. It's called Health at Work and People. So connect with me there. That's what you see on LinkedIn, the newsletters, that's 100% volunteering time, but with the intention of serving as a advocacy tool for employees to know how to manage their health and well-being in the workplace in a way that's effective, and then helping employers to figure out how to really be an employer of choice.
You know, what a wonderful way to wrap up our conversation, because not only are you building bridges between employees and employers, but you're building bridges with individuals so that they can make heartfelt connections and expand their own areas of health, wealth, and well-being. So thank you so much for joining us today and really imparting some things that we can sort of think about. I think there's going to be, you've given lots of really wonderful nuggets of information for us today, Jaqueline, and I really thank you for spending some time.
Oh, thank you. The pleasure was all mine.
To you, our viewing and listening audience, I'd like to thank you for joining us today for this edition of Keeping It Real, introducing you to the person behind the logo. If you'd like to connect with our guest, take her up on her offer, and you'll find Jaqueline's contact information in the description portion below. I'm Trish Tonai, author, artist, and the founder and host for the series. And if you're interested in sharing your business story, visit our website at shareyourstories.online and subscribe to our channel, Business Mentorship, Keeping It Real. Thanks again for tuning in, and we look forward to meeting you next time when we share another great idea.